What's going on, guys? Matt over here with Lethal Camaro, and today I'm checking out a brand new product that was recommended to me by Texas Mike over at Cunningham Motorsports in regards to my build, and that comes down to gauges. Now, there's a lot of people that get gauges for a lot of different reasons, but in the instance of my car right now, it doesn't necessarily need gauges per se. I mean, just having a cam, cold air intake, and exhaust, and E85, gauges aren't that crucial. I mean, it's a good idea to maybe have a gauge with E85 so you can actually read what the ECU is saying the ethanol level's at. But once you start getting into the upper echelon of a ProCharger and doing stuff like that to your car, gauges become very important. Now, why are gauges super important? At least for me, in regards to E85, I want to know what the ethanol level content is when I'm running E85, so that way, if it's coming in the 50-60 range, I know that I'm not going to be tromping on my car because that will damage the motor versus getting an actual 83 to 85% range. So in this instance, I'm going with the AeroForce Technologies Inc. They are a fairly new company. They do offer quite a few options, but in this instance, I'm going with the Interceptor setup. Now, I'll be honest, this isn't a true unboxing because I kind of got a little giddy and opened it a little bit earlier to check it out. But I'll show you what was in the box initially. I didn't take everything out, but what I did do is I opened the vent mount and then the actual gauge itself. So in this instance, this gauge will mount inside my vehicle in the driver's side air vent. So basically, let's see if I can get my camera to work with me. I don't know if you can see the vent. So basically the air vent's right in there. It's right down there. So this replacement actually still allows the air to flow through for that vent, so you're not losing the functionality of the vent, but it's a great mount. They do offer this in a single pod and a dual pod setup, but it's a quick and easy install that just snaps right on in where that vent placement is. Now, the gauge itself reads two different items at the same time, so you get two different data points, and you can change it on the fly whenever you want. In this instance, I did opt for the longer cable to make sure I had more than enough room, but it does plug in through your ODB2 port, and it wires appropriately. Now, I also opted for the white gauge face because, you know, I have a white and black car, so I figured, why not? If I like the way the white looks on the car, I'll keep it that way. Now, the other side is, well, how do you properly get good data from your car? And honestly, you know, you can get a lot of data with an HP tuner and stuff like that out the get-go, which is great. But the one thing that an HP tuner doesn't necessarily give you right out the door is the wide, basically your AFR readings coming out of the setup. Now, what I did is I opted for the AeroForce wideband air fuel kit. So that way I know what my air fuel ratio is, and I can get the proper readings across the board. And it comes with all the items that you need for that, plus the Bosch sensor. It was 189 bucks for this setup, but again, this is, you know, your air fuel ratio is where it all counts. Knowing what that's reading and what that's pulling out, and I'm dropping my paperwork, is really important. So there's quite a few companies out these days that do make products like this. There's a lot of different options quality-wise, but I would say in general, the AeroForce technology setup is really high quality. So here's the actual housing. This is custom made by them, so it's a really cool device here. They do have the padding here on the end for moisture, etc., and a nice tight fit. Now the gauge does just slide in. It uses double-sided tape to hold it in place. Obviously the wires being pulled are going to hold it in place as well. There is a 2-button setup on this gauge. The gauge is not too dark. It's got easy connections on the back for mounting, and you know, it's a very simplistic design, but it feels and looks very high quality. So it slides right on in there. When you're ready to get it all lined up, you're good to go. Pretty simple and straightforward. So I'm very much looking forward to the install of this product on the car. I'm very interested to see the readings and the data that I can get out of it. And actually, let me just pull this up real quick because I'm sure some of you will want to know this, but This gauge actually reads quite a bit. They're calling out, so it's adjustable at a rate of approximately 20 times per second, so it's very accurate. It has about 100 different parameters such as RPM, miles per hour, intake air temperature, ambient air temperature, engine coolant temperature, exhaust gas temperature, transmission temp, manifold pressure, fuel temperature, battery voltage, battery temp, injector pulse width, injector duty cycle, airflow rate into engine, long-term fuel trim, short-term fuel trim, O2 sensor. I mean, it just goes on and on. The list is forever long. So there's lots of different sensors, lots of different parameters that you can pull in with this. Again, I will be using it to read what my ECM is getting for octane levels, so I'll understand what is coming through there, and then I'll also be able to see the air-fuel ratio to see, to make sure it's in line and level. So again, there's tons of things I can mess around with. Obviously, the big one for me was the ethanol level in the fuel, especially going with the ProCharger. You do not want to beat up your motor with a tune for, 70% plus range ethanol when you're getting 50-60% ethanol readings. So again, that's the primary reason why I got mine. I'm looking forward to showing you how it looks in the car and how it works. So, but that's all going to take place after March 20th. Once the ProCharger is installed, I'm going to be having this device installed as well. I may take it on myself and maybe hook it up on my own. I don't know. I may take that on. If I do, you guys will definitely see a video for it. So as always, thanks for watching the video. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys going to put a gauge in your car? Do you have gauges in your car? What brands, what setups? Let me know. Post in the comments below. But if you enjoyed this comment, hit that subscribe button. Help support the channel. If not, likes, comments, shares are appreciated. Check out that lethal Camaro swag down below in the description. But until next time, I'll see you on the road.